Welcome back to Panda Audiobooks. You are listening to Pursuit of the Truth by a Jen, covering chapters 91 through 95. In Han Mountain City, legends are coming to life. As Su Ming continues his deep cover operation as the medicine master, the ancient Han Mountain bell begins to resonate. Its tolling is a test of spirit and power that few can withstand. Su Ming must now balance his public role with the growing, primal urge of his Berserker blood to answer the bell's call. The truth is echoing. Are you listening? Chapter 91. Death of Young Martyrs. They feared death. Their terror towards it made them feel as if their hearts were about to be crushed. That was why they had not dared to walk at the back of the column, but rather chose to walk in the middle. Yet the middle of the crowd was filled with orphaned lassos. That was why they could only choose to rely on the tribe leader and walk at the forefront of the crowd, believing that place to be safe. They thought that the tribe leader could protect them from everything. Yet now, their tribe leader was in danger right before their very eyes. If they chose not to walk out of the light from the statue, they would still be safe. At that dangerous moment, the face of one of the dozens of teenagers in front of the crowd was pale, and his body trembled. Fear seemed to have conquered his entire weak body. Nonetheless, for the first time in his life, desperation and red lines appeared in his eyes. I've lived most of my life like an ignorant fool. I lived every single day of my life easily and wasted them away while waiting for death. I did not do anything for the tribe, but wasted so much food. I know that there are a lot of tribe members who look down on me. I know that all the lassos think I'm a useless person. And I am a useless person. I don't have a berserker body. I'm lazy. I don't have a strong body. I don't have anything. The only thing I have is the glory obtained in exchange for my father's death when he was killed by a wild beast while out hunting for the tribe. Today, I'll tell you all this. I may be useless, but I'm still a member of the tribe. The teenager's eyes were bloodshot as he roared and rushed outside, straight towards the tribe leader. He would use his flesh and blood and die for the tribe leader. Using his own life, he would become a wall that would protect the tribe leader. With a bang, the teenager exchanged places with the retreating tribe leader, and the young man stood behind him, facing the enemy. At that same moment, a sharp arrow sliced through the air and pierced through his body. He burst apart and died. Dad, your lasso is not useless. Before the teenager died, he smiled brokenly. The very same moment the youth rushed out and died, all his friends, too, howled and dashed out madly. They would use their lives to repay the tribe for all the years it had provided for them. They would use their lives, and once again welcome the glory they once obtained when one of their family had died. We may be useless, but we're still part of the tribe, the dozens of teenagers roared. They would use their fragile bodies and blood to create a wall for their tribe leader and their people. Thunderous booms continued crackling in the air. It was clear that the two men from Black Mountain Tribe who were pursuing the tribe leader did not expect the normal members of Dark Mountain Tribe to rush out at this moment. Nevertheless, there was only disdain and scorn in their eyes. To them, these normal people were so weak they would all die from one hit. Amidst the blasts, these dozens of people were all died in their own blood, their limbs torn off, but they continued using their lives and willpower to block the enemy's advance. Some of them even clutched tightly onto the head of the guards from Black Mountain Tribe. Even if their bodies were blown apart by the shock, they continued gritting their teeth and holding their ground. It was disastrous. The devastation of the battle seemed to have reached its peak at that very moment. The willpower of these teenagers seemed to have shaken the two men in pursuit. They did not expect these normal people from Dark Mountain Tribe to possess such insanity and determination. So much so that they managed to delay their chase by the span of around 2 breaths. The time of 2 breaths may be short, and these young men had paid for it with their lives, but these 2 breaths, they changed the fate of the tribe leader's life. Consumed by grief, the tribe leader reached the light coming from the statue. His heart felt as if it was being stabbed by knives, but he knew that he could not die, not because of his own wish to live, but because of the tribe. He looked at the corpses that filled the ground before him, at the bunch of people who had once given him headaches, and who he even somewhat disliked. He stared at the once familiar faces now turned into mangled corpses, and the tribe leader, a man built like a tower in his 40s, cried. Behind him, Many of the tribe members also cried. These dozens of teenagers used their lives to tell all of them that they may be useless weaklings, but they were also members of the tribe. They could also die for the tribe. Su Ming bit his lip and clashed repeatedly against the man before him. All 243 blood veins in his body had gathered as one, and as he growled, he continued fighting against the man. His specialty was speed, and the man's was strength, similar to Yi Wang. This fight was extremely eye-catching, even amidst the battlefield. Lei Chen saw it, Wu La saw it, and many of their tribe members saw it, too. The little girl stood in the crowd and watched Su Ming as she cried, terrified. At that moment, a shocking rumble came from the distance. Far away, the black mist formed using a fallen Berserker art casted by Black Mountain Tribe's elder, by two, abruptly crumbled apart after fighting for a long while with the elder. It turned into numerous black puffs of air that swept around its surroundings. The elder then went back to the tribe with an indescribable presence. The elder had returned. It was as if he simply took 3 steps in the air to come back. When his first step landed, the elder suddenly appeared beside Su Ming. The man from Black Mountain Tribe was caught by surprise, and the elder touched the center of his brows with a finger. Then the man trembled and coughed out a large amount of blood, staggering backwards. At the center of his brows, a bloody hole appeared, and soon, light disappeared from his eyes, and he fell to the ground, dead. The elder did not stop. He took another step and appeared at the forefront of the tribe, right beside the man in black battling against Nan Song. With a ghastly wave of his right hand, the man shook furiously before his body burst apart and he died. A presence that seemed to shake the sky and earth appeared explosively on the elder's body as he killed a person with each step he took. His presence birthed fear in all the people from Black Mountain Tribe, and they retreated. Agitation appeared in Su Ming's eyes, and he was not the only one filled with such an emotion. All the people from Dark Mountain Tribe let out excited cries. At that moment, the elder took the 3rd step and appeared right before the giant wooden barricade blocking the path forward. With one kick, the barricade crumbled with a bang, turning into countless shards that were about to scatter to the ground when the elder swung his arm. The shards all turned into sharp arrows and sped through the empty spaces between the people of Dark Mountain Tribe, and straight towards all the retreating berserkers of Black Mountain Tribe. In an instant, cries of pain echoed in the air. The moment he finished taking those 3 steps, a sickly red flush appeared on the elder's face, but it disappeared very soon, and once it did, he turned around before speaking calmly, "Don't stop here, move." The moment he spoke, the people from Dark Mountain Tribe left under the guidance of the tribe leader, while all those from Black Mountain Tribe did not dare to try and stop them due to the grievous blow they had sustained to their numbers. Dark Mountain Tribe quickly moved forward. Liu Di, who was leaning against the big tree and was on the verge of dying, was also lifted up by the people and carried away. Very soon, the battlefield became silent. The only things left were the corpses that filled the ground and the stench of blood that stayed in the air for a long time. Su Ming stood in the crowd, his body drenched in blood. He moved forward quickly and silently. Beside him was a tribe member holding on to the little girl. She was no longer crying. Strength appeared within her innocent eyes. She was still young and did not understand a lot of things, but during this night, she too grew up. Moonlight scattered on the ground, lighting up the path for the now homeless people of Dark Mountain Tribe, so that they would no longer be bewildered and helpless. Tribe leader, elder, let us old folk stay behind. Don't let our people take care of us anymore and affect the speed at which they can travel. An old voice said from within the crowd. The man coughed. He was a normal old man from the tribe and was already very old, unable to keep up with the long journey. In his mind, instead of having someone support him while dragging down the tribe's speed, he would rather stay behind. Let the young uns leave. I'll stay. Honestly, we should have chosen to stay in the tribe. Ha! Another old man also stopped moving. Very soon, almost all of the old people from the tribe walked out of the crowd one by one. They numbered to about 40 people, and all of them chose to stubbornly stay behind. They could not use their remaining lives to tell the tribe that they were useful, but they could not allow themselves to drag down the tribe's advancement. You! The tribe leader was stunned. He closed his eyes, then soon reopened them and bowed deeply to these old people of the tribe. Go! We're tired. The old folks smiled. They waved towards their tribe members. Their families were within that crowd of people, and they cried, but could do nothing to stop them. Some of the stronger tribe members volunteered to stay, but were not allowed to do so. One of the elderly walked out and looked at the elder with a smile on his face. "Elder, is there a method for us old folks to use so that we can explode and hurt others just like the young uns did? Tell us." The elder fell silent for a while before walking forward. He placed an object in the hands of the old man and patted his shoulder, letting out a soft sigh. He knew that this was not a time for him to be weak. There were far too many tribe members that needed to move quickly. He turned around. The rest, continue moving. The elderly watched their tribe leave them, its members silently crying and frequently turning their heads back. Warm and gentle smiles appeared on the old people's faces. They sat down, panting harshly, and started talking about the things that had happened to them when they were young, about their past glory. Moonlight illuminated their silhouettes. Once the old folks stayed behind, the column moved much faster. After a long while, once daylight appeared in the horizon, the home of Dark Mountain Tribe, which was left behind by its people, turned into a desolate ruin under the illumination of the moonlight. It seemed like there was no sign of life within those ruins, and they would eventually turn into a remnant of the passage of time. Perhaps the few remaining trees and plants would continue growing there and slowly turn the place into a part of the forest, making it difficult for people to come looking for their memories and the beautiful moments that had happened during their time here. Wind was blowing at the moment. It sounded like the moaning of the sun as it lifted the snow off the ground and swept gently through the land. It also lifted a lot of things left behind by the tribe members, and as they were whisked away from the ground, they created sashaying sounds that brought out a feeling of desolation. Among the things left behind, there were toys belonging to children, hides that the tribe members did not manage to take with them, ashes from extinguished fires, scattered herbs, a lot of kitchen utensils, and pieces of the houses that had broken off. Besides the sound of the wind, the ruins of the tribe were in silence, but one of the collapsed houses moved at that moment. A furry and round little creature poked its head out from the ruins. This little creature was very cute. Its fur was originally white, yet at that moment, its fur was gray. Its eyes were filled with fear as it quickly ran out of the house. It trembled under the snowstorm. Squeaks came out from its mouth, as if it was calling out to its owner. Its name was Pee-Pee, and it was the little girl's pet. Yet its owner could not hear its cries. It stayed behind alone in the ruins of the tribe, refusing to be too far away from the collapsed house because that was its home. As it continued squeaking, the little creature slowly retreated as if no longer able to withstand the cold and wishing to return to the house. Yet at that moment, footsteps came from the distance. Dozens of people walked through the tribe's broken gate. A strong man led the team, but his face was gloomy and dark. If Su Ming had been here, then he would recognize the man as the tribe leader of Black Mountain Tribe. Behind him was a teenager who had a similar gloomy and dark look on his face. The young man licked his lips as he looked at his surroundings, a cruel smile appearing on his face. That person was Bai Su. They sure left quickly. After them. The elder should be here soon. This time, besides the women from Dark Mountain Tribe, leave no one alive, the tribe leader said slowly and left the ruins. Bai Su looked away from his surroundings. He was just about to follow the tribe leader when a glint suddenly appeared in his eyes. He saw the little trembling creature that did not dare to move. His lips curled up slightly, and he waved his right hand at it. Immediately, the little creature jolted and light faded away from its eyes. A green presence rose from its carcass, which Bai Su caught in his hands and placed at the center of his brows. After a moment, a cruel look appeared in his eyes. Pee-Pee, is it? You miss your owner, don't you? Then I'll send her to you. Chapter 92, by two of Black Mountain Tribe. Midnight had arrived a long time ago. There was already a faint and dim light at the horizon. Pale moonlight fell on the snow in the forest, making the light seem cold. As messy crunching sounds appeared, the people of Dark Mountain Tribe moved quickly before dawn. It was quiet all around them. Besides the sounds of crunching snow, there was virtually no other sound. All the people of Dark Mountain Tribe were silent. The elderly, the women, and even the last Sus fell silent as they continued migrating during that night. Several hours had passed since the previous battle. The level of devastation from that battle was deeply imprinted in all of their minds and souls. They would never forget it. Before they left, without including the elder, Dark Mountain Tribe had more than 30 berserkers. After the battle, there were only 14 berserkers left. The blood on these 14 berserkers' body had dried up. As they moved forward with grief and sadness, they carried with them a murderous air as they silently protected their tribe members. Dozens of their own had died, but Black Mountain Tribe had paid an even greater price. This was related to their levels of cultivation, but more importantly, the intruders from Black Mountain Tribe did not have the persistence that the people of Dark Mountain Tribe had because they were forced to leave their homes. It was called a protector's courage. If they had only self-destructed once, perhaps it would have only brought disdain to the intruders from Black Mountain Tribe, but once it happened twice, thrice, 4 times, then it bring about terror among those from Black Mountain Tribe. Dark Mountain Tribe may be weak, but within that weakness, there was strength. Su Ming walked silently. After the battle, he had yet to speak a single word. He was originally just a cheerful child with the recklessness of a teenager, but now, he had learned how to be quiet and not scream out his feelings like a wild beast. Yet the price for him to learn how to be quiet was too great. It made his heart hurt. Su Ming knew that from this day onwards, his innocence was destroyed and had left his body. From this day onwards, his happiness had melted and disappeared into his body. From this day onwards, his tears were replaced by silence. Time passed by. Very soon, daylight arrived. The tribe had walked for an entire night, but they did not stop even though they were tired. All of them gritted their teeth and supported each other as they moved so quickly it was close to a running speed. Daylight gradually passed by as they continued moving. During the journey, some of them fell down, unable to bear the fatigue. After resting for an hour, they would continue moving. The people of Dark Mountain Tribe continued walking quickly in their silence, even when the second midnight fell upon them and moonlight once again shone on the snow in the forest. Su Ming. A frightened and fragile voice traveled to Su Ming's ears. He turned his head and saw the little girl beside him who was being carried by another tribe member. When he saw her clean and innocent eyes, Su Ming forced out a smile. Yet that smile looked really creepy when it was matched with the blood on his face. Nonetheless, the girl did not feel afraid. She widened her eyes instead and looked at Su Ming. After a moment of hesitation, she lifted her slightly dirted hands and wiped away some of the dried blood on Su Ming's face. When he felt the little girl's delicate hands touching his face, warmth appeared through Su Ming's painfully bleeding heart. Su Ming, don't be afraid. Tong Tong is not afraid either. The little girl retrieved her hands. Some blood flecks stained her hands. She looked at him, and in her bright eyes, there was a resolute look that was rarely seen in children. Su Ming patted the little girl's head. He did not look at her, but chose to look ahead. The road ahead was hidden by the forest, and he could not see where their future lay. Lei Chen stood on the other side of the crowd. He still had his fists clenched tightly. The blood on his back had dried up, and he ignored the pain in his body. There was bloodlust in his eyes, but there was also sadness. He would never forget the battle that had happened the previous night. If it were not for a heavily wounded adult berserker self-destructing to save him, then his corpse would now be left behind in that battlefield. Before him was Wu Lane. The girl's face was pale, and she looked exhausted. There was dried blood on her left arm, and she seemed unable to lift it up. There was a large blooded part on her face, causing her originally pretty face to be gone. Yet there was no sign of surrender in her eyes. She still had the stubborn persistence that was within all the other members of Dark Mountain Tribe. Behind them were Bei Ling and Chen Xin. They held hands as if they never wanted to be separated. They continued protecting the crowd as they walked. The elder continued his vigil at the back. His white hair and face full of wrinkles made Su Ming's heart clench even tighter from pain when he saw them, because he could feel the elder's fatigue. The moon was not in a crescent shape during the second night. It was slowly leaning towards becoming a full moon. Nonetheless, it was clear that it was not yet the night of the full moon. Perhaps it would be tomorrow, or perhaps the day after tomorrow. As the tribe continued migrating, sometimes, some berserkers of theirs would rush back towards them. Their numbers were few and consisted of a team of 4 people. These 4 people were the tribe's scouts. They risked their lives to report any and all changes back to the tribe after a certain amount of time. If they did not return, then it meant something had happened. Very soon, 2 hours passed by. The sky was dark, and it was as if there was a pair of terrifying eyes in the sky staring at the ground and at the people of Dark Mountain Tribe as they traveled quickly. At that moment, only 3 of the 4 people returned when another scouting session ended. The one scouting the back disappeared without a trace. All the hairs on Su Ming's body rose. A sharp look appeared in his eyes as he stopped and turned around. There were also others who noticed that something bad was about to happen. A glint appeared in the elder's eyes, and he gripped the bone cane in his hands. Suddenly, a faint booming sound came from the distance. When that sound traveled into their ears, Su Ming's grief became even stronger. He knew that sound. It was a berserker triggering his own blood veins to explode. He knew that their enemies from Black Mountain Tribe had arrived once again. Don't stop. Increase your speed. All berserkers protect the tribe. We will fight as we retreat. The elder slammed the bone cane in his hands on the ground. He lifted his left hand and swung it over the tribe. Immediately, the space above the tribe twisted and Dark Mountain Tribe statue of the god of berserkers appeared once again. It floated above the tribe and gave off a protective light. It moved with the tribe as they traveled. With it around, as long as it was not broken, then the light would ensure the tribe's safety. The moment Dark Mountain Tribe statue appeared, the elder lifted his head abruptly. A grave look that had never once showed during that entire battle appeared on his face. The darkness came to his eyes as he stared at the dark sky above him. The darkened sky suddenly changed. A red light appeared out of nowhere and fused together with the darkness, turning it into a shade of purple. The red light continued expanding like fresh blood, and within the blink of an eye, it covered half the sky. A hoarse and sullen voice came from the sky, and the sound traveled all around them. Mo sang. As the voice echoed in the air, a strong pressure suddenly descended upon them. All the people from Dark Mountain Tribe instantly felt the pressure on their bodies the moment it appeared. Even Dark Mountain Tribe's statue shook because of it. Su Ming's heart raced in his chest. He had felt this incredible pressure before from the elder of Windstream Tribe, Jingnan. This pressure belonged to a berserker who had transcended. This was the natural might executed from the berserkers in the transcended realm towards those still in the blood solidification realm. Under this pressure, the chi within the berserkers still in the blood solidification realm began to circulate on their own. As the pressure appeared, and the red light continued spreading across the sky, and as the moon in the sky started turning blood red because of it, an indescribable feeling rose within Su Ming. One that no one else but him felt and experienced at that moment. It was the sort of feeling similar to the one when he saw the blood-red moon as he performed the burning of blood. In fact, it even gave him a sense of familiarity. It was as if there was a gigantic wings of the moon hidden in the sky at that moment. This sort of misconception that threw him into disbelief made Su Ming's heart lurch. Very soon, he saw a person walking slowly out of the red light from the sky. That person wore a black robe. He was thin, and his skin looked dry. His face was very dark and sullen. He walked forth one step at a time with his hands behind his back until he stood in the sky and looked down at the land beneath him. At the center of his brows was a picture of wings of the moon. The picture looked vivid, almost as if it was real. It let out an enchanting red light that made it seem almost alive. Bai Tu. The elder of Black Mountain Tribe, Bai Tu. Mo sang, stop waiting for Jingnan and Wen Yang. They are in enough trouble as it is, and will definitely not have time to bother about your tribe. Bai Tu let out a dark laugh and looked at the elder standing behind the crowd. The elder was silent. He was indeed waiting for Jingnan, but when Jingnan did not appear on their journey towards Windstream Tribe, he knew that something had happened in Windstream Tribe. Nan Song, you were only slightly beneath Mo Sang in the past. You were as bright as the sun, yet once you ran to Dark Mountain Tribe, you became a worthless piece of garbage. All these years, I've been thinking about the expression on your father's face when he begged me to spare you before he died. It's a pity, I never intended to let you live, but you still managed to escape. Nan Song, the previous Berserker's son of Black Mountain Tribe, we meet again. Bai Tu's lips curled up slightly, but very soon that smile spread wider and wider until he began laughing maniacally. Standing outside the crowd, the white-haired Nan Song looked at Bai Tu standing in the air. He was not at all angered by Bai Tu's words because he had already learned to let go of everything. He let out a faint sigh. Compared to you, who poisoned the previous elder of Black Mountain Tribe, went after the life of the previous elder's Berserker's son, then sacrificed half of Black Mountain Tribe in exchange for a fallen Berserker art, I can't compare. Nan Song remained calm, but the wrinkles on his face seemed to have increased by a large amount in that instant. We should settle the grudge we harbored all those years ago. Mo sang, Nan Song, I'll give you both a chance. I'll let you both fight against me. Bai Tu laughed loudly, then swung his right hand. Thunderous roars shook heaven and earth immediately. Behind Bai Tu's back, the never-ending red light in the sky turned into extremely thick blood fog in an instant. The fog tumbled like waves, then turned into a gigantic wings of the moon. The wings of the moon spread its wings, covering the sky and the moon. Nan Song, leave Bai Tu to me. I'll hold him back. I leave the tribe to you. The elder took in a deep breath and swept his gaze across his tribe. He looked at their silent faces as if he wanted to find the traitor among them, but only let out a sigh in the end. All his people were exhausted and covered in fresh blood. How could he suspect his people who fought for the tribe? He saw the grief on the head of the guard's face and the deep gash on Shan Hen's neck. Perhaps there isn't a traitor at all. Before the elder averted his gaze, he looked at Su Ming deeply, then abruptly leapt into the air. A giant dark python materialized and dashed into the sky like a shooting star with him. Thunderous rumbles echoed in the sky. As the elder approached him, Bai Tu laughed loudly. The sky was covered by red fog, and it enveloped both of them within it. The people in the tribe could not see what was inside, but the sounds of thunder shook the sky and earth nonetheless. Chapter 93: The Blood Moon. Su Ming's heart raced. He saw the elder leaving and also how the elder had looked at him before he left. There was an emotion within the elder's eyes that made him afraid. Wings of the moon. Wings of the moon. The fire berserker art. Su Ming looked at the wings of the moon in the sky which was created from the red fog. He might be afraid, but a vague thought appeared in his head. Yet the thought was a little scattered, and he did not manage to make any sense of it. Still, he had a feeling that once he cleared his thoughts, then whatever that idea was, it would turn out to be extremely useful. As thunderous rumbles echoed in the sky, a strange cry appeared from their back, the darker parts of the forest. Dozens of people ran towards them. These people were the third wave of pursuers from Black Mountain Tribe. The head was the tribe leader of Black Mountain Tribe, and behind him, Su Ming saw the sullen Bai Su. The moment the pursuers from Black Mountain Tribe arrived, Su Ming ran to the back without hesitation. With him were Bei Ling, Lei Chen, the head of the guards, and some other berserkers. The other berserkers from Dark Mountain, besides the tribe leader and another 3 people, 2 charged forward. They will protect their tribe, and they will fight as they retreat with the tribe. The tribe leader of Dark Mountain Tribe averted his gaze from the end of the crowd as tears filled his eyes. He led his people and continued onward under the protection of the light from the statue. The tribe ran, supporting each other so that no one would be left behind. Wu La also stayed back to protect others beside the tribe leader. Her powers were not great, and she was forced to stay with the crowd. The last person who stayed with the migrating crowd was Shan Hen. He did not choose to fight, but quietly stood outside the column and lifted a few children who could no longer run due to exhaustion as he ran with the tribe. Su Ming did not turn back to look. Instead, he silently dashed towards the dozens of Black Mountain berserkers with killing intent boiling within him and started fighting against them. He held a long spear in his hands. That spear was entirely red, and it continued to be dyed in fresh blood as it stayed by Su Ming's side fighting with him against the pursuers from Black Mountain Tribe amidst the huge clashing sounds in the air. The strongest pursuer from Black Mountain Tribe was their tribe leader. The one who fought against him was Nan Song. At that moment, a strong presence of qi exploded from his old and frail body, as well as a shocking amount of killing intent. Su Ming's qi rumbled in his body. All 243 veins turned into one under fine control. With astonishing speed, he threw his spear with the intent to kill towards one of the people from Black Mountain tribe. Once his body burst apart, Su Ming closed in on his corpse like a blurred-out image. He grabbed the spear and turned around abruptly, clashing his spear with the bone knife slashing towards his back. The clash made his body tremble, and his right hand numbed for a moment as he took a step backwards. The man whose attack was blocked by his spear staggered back 3 steps, blood trickling down from the corner of his lips. Before the man could stabilize himself, Su Ming dashed forward and closed in on him without a care for the injuries he had sustained himself. He threw his left fist forward. The man from Black Mountain tribe did not manage to dodge. He could only bring his bone knife upward and block the attack with the blade facing Su Ming. Yet Su Ming did not stop. He threw his left fist straight at the bone knife. Blood from his fist scattered in the air, but there was a crashing sound, and the knife shattered into thousands of fragments that flew back towards the man, because it could not handle Su Ming's strength. An aghast expression appeared on the man's face, and he coughed out blood as he quickly retreated. However, Su Ming was even faster. He closed in on the man, and just as he was about to kill the man under that intent for murder stemming from intense hate, he felt a strong sense of danger. His expression did not change, but right away he took half a step to the side. Pain erupted in his chest, as if a strong force had just landed on his back and turned into sharp needles piercing through him. Blood spilled out from the right side of his chest as a sharp arrow penetrated his body, seemingly about to pierce through him. Under that power, Su Ming's body was also forcefully pushed to the side. Yet the moment the arrow penetrated his body, Su Ming's left hand caught the arrow coming from the right side of his chest. With a jolt from his left hand, he neutralized the power of the arrow and forced it to remain in his body. Su Ming knew that the most grievous arrow injuries happened when the arrow went through the body completely. With that sort of destructive force, once the wound was penetrated through, a large amount of blood would be lost. Yet if the arrow remained in the body, then it could serve to block the wound, decreasing blood loss. He could then continue fighting. He turned his back abruptly and saw the head of the guards from Black Mountain tribe standing in the distance, the very same person who had fled when he failed to kill the tribe leader of Dark Mountain tribe in the previous battlefield. When he was about to draw his bow again, the head of the guards of Dark Mountain tribe growled and closed in on him, drawing his own bow. Right then and there, in the forest, those 2 people who were skilled with the bow engaged in a battle to the death. Su Ming averted his gaze. The moon may have been covered by the red fog at that moment, but there were still shreds of moonlight penetrating through it. No one noticed as these rays of light fused into Su Ming's body. It was night, and night belonged to Su Ming. Still, it was a pity that the moon was covered by the red fog. He swung his left hand before him, and an invisible ray of moonlight rushed towards the man who had originally escaped death. He lurched forward, and in his muddled state, a red line appeared on his neck, and his head fell. Before it even landed on the ground, Su Ming kicked the head upwards, and as it bled, it sped towards the person fighting against Lei Chen not too far away. Lei Chen was caught in a dangerous situation. His powers were not great enough, and he was also injured. At that moment, he was fighting with the last vestiges of his strength. The person fighting against him was an ugly-looking man in the 6th level of the blood solidification realm. The man gave a vicious laugh and punched Lei Chen's chest, causing blood to spill out of his mouth. He was about to tear off Lei Chen's head excitedly when there was a whistling sound, and the head, which Su Ming had infused with his qi as he kicked it, rushed towards him quickly. The man was caught off guard. The head landed on his body and abruptly exploded, causing the man to stagger back as he coughed out blood. Lei Chen lifted his head and pounced on him. The man was thrown down and his qi was thrown into a disarray. He knew that his life hung on a line, and in his panic, he bit his tongue, shooting out a blood arrow towards Lei Chen. Yet Lei Chen knew that he could not dodge the attack. Once he missed this chance, and his opponent had the time to circulate his qi back to normal, he would definitely die. He let the blood arrow close in on him and raised his left hand to block it. Sharp pain immediately traveled down his entire left arm, and some of the blood that splashed out landed in his right eye, turning into unimaginable pain. The vision in his right eye immediately became blurry, and black blood flowed out, but he managed to close in on the man. As the man screamed for help in terror, Lei Chen's right fist landed on his head again and again until his body blew apart. Lei Chen laughed brokenly. All he could see from his right eye now was darkness, but there was no regret in him. Even as he let out a sad laugh, he was still persistent. At that moment, he saw two berserkers from Black Mountain tribe out of the corner of his left eye. He gave a vicious laugh, and a voice shouted in his heart, "Come closer, closer. I'll use my flesh and blood and let all of you people not be lonely in hell." Just as Lei Chen was about to make his blood veins explode, a person suddenly appeared before him in a flash. It was Su Ming. Su Ming's eyes were completely red. He wanted to save Lei Chen. His speed tore at his wound, and as blood flowed out, Su Ming waved his right hand before him. Immediately, strings of moonlight sped towards the person by Lei Chen's side who was just about to cut down Lei Chen's head. The moment the man lifted his knife, he immediately saw the madness in Lei Chen's left eye and was terrified. Just as he was about to retreat, he felt sharp pain in his entire body, and his gaze turned dark. He was torn into pieces. During the moment of the man's death, Su Ming arrived. He did not care about the other person who was also taken aback by the madness in Lei Chen's eyes, but kicked the expanding blood veins on Lei Chen's body, which were on the verge of exploding. Su Ming's level of cultivation was greater than Lei Chen's. The moment he kicked Lei Chen, the qi in Lei Chen's body scattered due to the shock, causing his act of self-destruction to be halted. While Lei Chen was still stunned by his actions, Su Ming did not hesitate and carried him tied to his back using moonlight as ropes. "Su, don't talk. If you want to die, we're dying together." Su Ming turned around and resumed his slaughter once again. Tears fell from Lei Chen's eyes. He looked at Su Ming's face from the side, but did not speak even after a long while. An oddly shaped horn was given to him by Su Ming himself. Once he held it tightly, he started fighting with Su Ming. Compared to battles on Su Ming's side, Nan Song's fight against the tribe leader of Black Mountain tribe was even more shocking. Nan Song was fighting alone against not just the tribe leader of Black Mountain tribe, but against 5 other people, including Bai Su, all while showing no signs of being outmatched. However, the most gruesome fight was the battle between the heads of the guards of Black Mountain tribe and Dark Mountain tribe. The sounds of arrows slicing through the air were quick and devastating. By the end, these two people shot all their arrows at once. Bai Ling's father's killing intent spilled forth. He must kill the head of the guards from Black Mountain tribe. If this person remained alive, he would pose a great threat to the tribe. At the end of the battle, the legs of the head of the guards from Dark Mountain tribe were crushed. That was the price paid for an arrow piercing through the chest of the head of the guards from Black Mountain tribe. The moment his enemy died, the head of the guards of Dark Mountain tribe smiled. This battle to stall for time only went on for a few moments, yet there were still people who died. There were only 6 remaining berserkers out of the 9 who had rushed out from Dark Mountain tribe. These 6 people continued fighting as they retreated with Nan Song leading them. Bai Ling was heavily injured. When he saw that his father had lost both his legs, he too carried his father on his back and staggered to keep up with the team. Nonetheless, Bai Ling himself was also running dry. There were also numerous corpses lying on the ground belonging to Black Mountain tribe. There were only 9 people left among them. The tribe leader from Black Mountain tribe also sustained injuries. Blood trickled down his mouth as he looked at Nan Song. He did not expect Nan Song to be so powerful. However, they had to kill all these people as quickly as possible. Under his leadership, they continued pursuing those from Dark Mountain tribe. Among the hunters, Bai Su's eyes flashed. He had already taken notice of Su Ming and was surprised by his power. He was familiar with Dark Mountain tribe and knew that there was no such person among the younger generation of the tribe. He looked at Su Ming as he retreated with Lei Chen on his back. As he looked into Su Ming's eyes, a familiar feeling surged forth in his heart. The persistence in Su Ming's eyes reminded him of the mysterious person that Black Mountain tribe could not find no matter how hard they tried. "Mo Su. You're Mo Su." Bai Su narrowed his eyes, and he shouted as he pointed at Su Ming. While his words did not incite much reaction from the other pursuers from Black Mountain tribe, the instant the words left Bai Su's mouth, the tribe leader from Black Mountain tribe, who had sustained injuries as he fought against Nan Song, turned abruptly his head toward Su Ming. A brilliant flash appeared in his eyes. Whoever kills him will get 10 women from Dark Mountain Tribe. The tribe leader of Black Mountain Tribe shouted out suddenly, and the moment he did so, all the pursuers focused their gazes on Su Ming. The battle in the sky was still ongoing. As thunderous roars shook the sky and earth, and the red fog rolled in the sky like waves, a large part of the moon in the sky revealed itself. At that moment, the moon was at its brightest. The moment it appeared, a large amount of moonlight spilled onto the ground and descended on Su Ming, causing his body to recover rapidly. The moonlight surrounded his body, and at that very instant, the shadow of the blood moon appeared in his eyes. It was not a vague shadow, but was incredibly clear as it covered his entire pupil. At the same time, all 5 summits of Dark Mountain trembled. Within the summits, countless wings of the moon cried out in excitement as if preparing to madly dash out. The moon might not have been full that night, but it was close to being so. The moment moonlight shone on the ground, an indescribable presence erupted forth from Su Ming's body. The first to sense that presence was Lei Chen. He was quickly followed by all the retreating Dark Mountain Tribe members, all of whom could clearly feel it. All the people from Black Mountain Tribe looking at Su Ming felt their hearts lurching forth. They saw the blood moon in Su Ming's eyes. What is that? What is that in his eyes? The moon. It's the blood moon. The blood moon is in his eyes. Chapter 94. The Fourth Arrow. The terrifying image of the blood moon appeared in Su Ming's eyes. The moon looked enchanting, causing all of those who saw it to feel their hearts tremble. At that moment, Bai Tu, who was fighting against the elder in the sky, suddenly felt agitated for a reason that he could not understand. That agitation suddenly appeared, but it was not the first time it had occurred. He remembered distinctly that he had also felt this sort of agitation and restlessness several months ago. It was as if he could no longer control his qi, and it wanted to leave his body so as to worship something. Mo Sang, who was fighting against Bai Tu, was originally exhausted, but a glint suddenly appeared in his eyes. He noticed the change in Bai Tu's qi and quickly took a step forward. The dark python by his side roared, using the chance to show off the might of its berserker art. The huge wave of blood fog tumbled violently in the sky, imitating the motion of Bai Tu moving backwards. That scene made all the people on the ground, who were already taken aback by the blood moon in Su Ming's eyes to begin with, become even more shocked by the strongest battle in the sky. Retreat! A brilliant light flashed through Nan Song's eyes. He swung his arm and led the berserkers from Dark Mountain Tribe by his side in a quick retreat. As they fled, the 9 people from Black Mountain Tribe quelled the shock they felt and no longer looked at the sky as they rapidly gave chase. Once they were thousands of feet away, Nan Song bit his tongue and coughed out a mouthful of blood. The blood turned into a gigantic arm, and it swung against the 9 people from Black Mountain Tribe chasing after them. Thunderous sounds echoed in the air, and the earth trembled. The giant arm of blood shoved their pursuers from Black Mountain Tribe 500 feet backwards. I can feel it. There are still some berserkers from Black Mountain Tribe coming towards us. I'll cast a berserker art. Protect me and stall for time. As Nan Song spoke, he sat down on the ground cross-legged and closed his eyes. His qi disappeared at that instant, but the blood veins on his body began to twist strangely as if about to form a picture. Bei Ling carried his father. He no longer had any strength to continue fighting. Even running was difficult for him. As for the head of the guards, he was forcing himself to stay awake, but judging by his looks, he would not be able to stay conscious for much longer due to the loss of his legs. Lei Chen struggled down from Su Ming's back. Compared to Bei Ling and the others, while he might also be running dry, he could still fight, and he stood beside Nan Song to guard him. At that moment, beside Su Ming, there was another man who was in his 30s who could still fight. His face was pale, and his left arm a bloody stump, but he held tightly onto a long spear with his right hand. He cast a glance at Su Ming, then with him, stood at the forefront. Su Ming! From behind Su Ming came the weak voice belonging to the head of the guards. I give you this bow. When Su Ming turned around and looked, the head of the guards was staring at him. He motioned for Bei Ling to take down the bow and threw the 3 remaining arrows towards Su Ming. From now on, you are the head of the guards of Dark Mountain Tribe. I've seen your skills with the bow before, you're very good. The head of the guards gave a weak smile and closed his eyes slowly. He did not die, but simply could not stay conscious anymore and fainted. Su Ming took the bow and arrows. The bow was very heavy, and there was a malicious air coming from it. There was also a lot of blood staining it. Once she held it in his hands, he silently shifted the quiver behind his back. He gave a nod to Bei Ling and turned towards the people from Black Mountain Tribe, who were blocked by the giant hand made from Nan Song's blood. Time passed by quickly. As they breathed, a horrific presence slowly built up within Nan Song. They could all tell that once he finished preparing and eventually cast the Berserker art, the effects would be shocking. Yet at that moment, cracks appeared on that gigantic hand of blood. The 9 people from Black Mountain rushed out with savage looks on their faces, charging towards Su Ming and the tribe member standing beside him. A murderous look appeared in Su Ming's eyes. He lifted the bow with his left hand, and with his right brought out an arrow from his back before drawing the bowstring. The bow echoed and the bowstring curled into the shape of a full moon. An indescribable presence erupted forth from Su Ming, and all his blood veins manifested on his body with a roar, all his power being focused on the arrow. He let go, and a sharp cry shook the air as the arrow flew. With an air of madness that spoke of certain death, the arrow sliced through the air with a piercing cry and charged forward, closing in on one of the 9 people from the Black Mountain Tribe in an instant. Su Ming knew that he could not waste even a single arrow. That was why he did not shoot the arrow towards the tribe leader of Black Mountain Tribe, neither did he shoot it at Bai Su. Instead, he shot the arrow towards the only person from Black Mountain Tribe who was at the 5th level of the blood solidification realm. The arrow flew out and abruptly turned into a dark ray of light, piercing the target's chest in the blink of an eye. His chest immediately burst apart. The man staggered back several steps with the arrow protruding from his chest, and then fell. That same moment, Su Ming brought out the second arrow and drew the bow. The remaining 8 people from Black Mountain Tribe were already only 300 feet away from him. They would be able to close in on Su Ming before he could even fire the arrow. Yet at that moment, the young adult standing by his side laughed loudly and charged forward. As he got closer to the men from Black Mountain Tribe, without any hesitation, he made all his blood veins swell, and his body began letting off a blinding red light. He was going to self-destruct. He would make his body explode to hold back those from Black Mountain Tribe so that Su Ming could have as much time as he needed to draw his bow. Su Ming was silent. He would use his actions to show his grief and anger at his tribe member's sacrifice. When the second arrow shot out, he heard a bang, and knew that his tribe member had died. It was not as if the man in his 30s did not value his life. Yet if he compared his life with those of the people in the tribe, then he would choose his tribe's safety over his own. As he self-destructed and the blasting sounds echoed through the air, the 8 people from Black Mountain were held back for the span of 3 breaths. During those 3 breaths, Su Ming had already fired the second arrow and once again shot through the heart of another person from Black Mountain Tribe. That person coughed out blood as his breath stilled, and he died. At the same moment the second person died, Su Ming fired the third arrow as the explosions caused by his tribe member became weaker. He did not look at who he shot when the arrow left the bow. Instead, he slung the bow across his back and charged forward without hesitation. A red light flashed on his right hand, and blood scales materialized in his hand. Su Ming remained silent and did not roar. He dashed forward, instead, without hesitation. Behind him was Nan Song, who was preparing a powerful berserker art, Lei Chen, who did not have much strength left to fight, Bei Ling, who was heavily wounded, and the head of the guards, who was unconscious. The only person who could fight now was him. He could not turn away. He could only move forward. His vision was becoming blurry. The arrow that had penetrated his chest was still there. He could pull it out. But once he did, his injuries would worsen. Besides, the internal injuries he sustained from before by forcefully raising his level of cultivation had begun to show its effects. He charged forward towards his destination. Including the tribe leader of Black Mountain Tribe, there were 6 people left before him. These 6 people all had various injuries on them, but they were still madly closing in on him. Lei Chen clenched his fists but held back because he knew that he was the last line of defense. Even if he died, he had to die there. He took a few steps forward and stood before Nan Song. As he looked at Su Ming fighting, tears fell from his eyes. Su Ming, you said before that I can't die. If I wanted to die, we'll die together. I'll keep to that promise. There were no loud booming sounds, as if Su Ming had become mute. Yet every single time he made a move, the ruthlessness of his actions far surpassed the viciousness that someone his age should possess. He held the long spear and fought against the tribe leader of Black Mountain Tribe. The tribe leader from Black Mountain Tribe was a powerful berserker at the 8th level of the blood solidification realm. It could even be said that he was slightly stronger than Yi Wang. He may be injured, but he was still someone whom Su Ming could not hope to oppose. The moment they engaged each other in battle, blood flowed out of the corners of Su Ming's mouth. He suffered a direct punch from the tribe leader on his person, but his body twisted oddly, and he swept the long spear in his hand sideways. His target was the savage-looking person by his side. That person was a berserker at the 6th level of the blood solidification realm. He was originally grinning viciously by the tribe leader's side. He could already imagine Su Ming's body blowing apart at the next moment, but he was not meant to see that sight. Blood scales closed in on him with a whistle. As that person stood there, stunned, it went straight through his right eye. With a bang, he was impaled to the ground. Blood spilled out of Su Ming's body. He tumbled backwards and fell to the ground. Just as the remaining 5 people from Black Mountain Tribe were about to leap over the body of their dead comrade and charge towards him, Su Ming struggled up silently. He smiled brokenly and spread his arms wide open. Moonlight descended on him from the sky and turned into fine threads that surrounded his body. He flung it outwards, and those threads rushed towards the 5 people. A murderous look appeared in the tribe leader's eyes. He pushed Bai Su aside with his right hand, causing Bai Su to use that momentum to charge forward and rush towards Lei Chen with the intent to kill. The tribe leader himself growled. As blood-red light erupted from his body, the shape of a bloody bear about 100 feet tall appeared behind him. That was the transfiguration of his mark of calamity, which had yet to solidify. The moment it appeared, it let off a loud roar that shook the skies, and its body blocked the thread of moonlight that Su Ming flung out. Nonetheless, the tribe leader underestimated Su Ming's unique skill. It was an especially glaring mistake during the moon of that day. It might not be full, but it was already close. The instant the might of the moon touched the blood bear, it tore through its body, causing the bear to let out a sharp cry. Yet it only made a bright flash appear in the tribe leader's eyes. The blood bear exploded. The force created by the explosion not only caused the thread of moonlight to crumble, it also lashed through its surroundings and crashed into Su Ming, causing his body to be thrown into midair as he coughed out blood. Su Ming was beginning to fall unconscious while midair. He saw dozens of new berserkers from Black Mountain Tribe charging through the forest towards them. He saw Lei Chen standing before Nan Song, roaring as he dashed out towards his opponent, the cruel Bai Su. Is this the end? But I can still fight. I still have one more arrow. It was as if everything slowed down. He could no longer hear anything, but his eyes were trained onto Bai Su, who was closing in on Lei Chen. As he surrounded himself in moonlight, Su Ming grabbed the bow with his left hand and the arrow on his chest with his right hand. He pulled it out viciously, and his pain turned into killing intent. As blood poured out from his body, he notched the bloody arrow on the bow and aimed it at Bai Su. Then with a vicious might, he fired the arrow. Chapter 95. Who Killed My Su-er? The arrow was stained with Su Ming's blood. As it sliced through the air, moonlight wrapped around the arrow. From a distance, it did not look like an arrow, but the blood of the moon. Bai Su had just arrived before Lei Chen. His gloomy and ferocious grin was still on his face, but at that very moment, he froze. He could sense danger coming towards him, one that terrified him. That feeling of danger came too suddenly, and he did not even have time to think about it. Within an instant, the arrow arrived. However, a large amount of blood-red mist suddenly appeared on Bai Su's body. The mist immediately turned into the shape of wings of the moon and surrounded Bai Su within it. That mist formed in the shape of the wings of the moon could block all attacks that were below the Transcendence realm. Bai Su knew this. Bai Tu was the one who had told him that. Yet the moment the arrow touched the mist formed in the shape of the wings of the moon, the mist let out a piercing screech as if it was afraid of the blood on the arrow and melted, causing the arrow to slice through it with a whistling sound and pierce through Bai Su. Bai Su felt a sharp pain in his chest and blood spilled out. The arrow penetrated through his body and landed by Lei Chen's feet. Bai Su trembled and fell to the ground. He widened his eyes and breathed rapidly like a fish out of water as he pressed both of his hands on the wound in his chest as if trying to stop the life flowing out of his body with the blood. But that arrow was not only filled with Su Ming's anger and sadness, but also all his power. It was not an injury Bai Su could block out. Impossible. The elder said. I won't. There was an indescribable terror on Bai Su's face. He could not believe this. He could not believe that he was going to die. His body was becoming cold, and despair appeared in his eyes. He did not want to die. He was afraid of death. He was still young, not even 20 years of age. He was the prodigy of Black Mountain tribe. He should not die like this. He wanted to become the strongest berserker that far surpassed those in Windstream. He wanted to claim Bai Ling as his woman, and make that beautiful face of hers cry under him. He had too many things he wanted to do. Never had he thought that he would die here, so suddenly and so out of his expectations. He did not even have time to prepare for it. He opened his eyes and fell to the ground. Above him, he saw the blood-red sky, the blood moon, and Bai Tu's figure within the blood-red fog. That was the last scene he saw during the short span of his life. Bai Su died. The moment he died, the tribe leader of Black Mountain tribe was stunned. Disbelief and fear appeared on his face. He was not afraid of Dark Mountain, but of the elder of Black Mountain. He knew that Bai Tu was an aloof and cruel man. His moods were unpredictable, and he did not see the people within the tribe as equals, but as slaves. The only person he ever cared for was Bai Su. Bai Tu had practically poured everything to help and guide Bai Su. Now that Bai Su died, the tribe leader's face immediately turned deathly pale. He was not the only one who was stunned. The other two people beside him were also taken aback. Their faces were immediately filled with so much terror and panic that they forgotten to attack. Su Ming crashed to the ground, and more blood spilled out from his wound. Yet the pain he felt could not be seen on his face. He was smiling instead, and that smile blossomed for a certain girl. Killing Bai Su had always been Su Ming's goal. Killing him was not only to prevent him from getting near Lei Chen and Nan Song, but also because of the greed and lust in his eyes when he saw Bai Ling on the field in Windstream tribe. From the patch of forest behind the tribe leader, another group of berserkers from Black Mountain tribe appeared with a whistling sound. They were only thousands of feet away from them. Yet at that moment, a roar filled with sadness and anger traveled out of the blood fog in the sky. It was Bai Tu's voice. Su-er. That voice sounded like thunderbolts that shook the earth. The snow on the ground exploded, causing the land to tremble continuously. As the voice appeared, a person madly charged out with a face filled with grief. In his eyes, he could only see Bai Su lying on the ground, unmoving. Who killed my Su-er? Kill them, kill all of Dark Mountain tribe, all of them must die. Bai Tu charged out with a killing intent that could shake the sky, but before he could even get close, a cold huff echoed from within the fog. With blood trickling down his lips, Mo Sang raised his right hand, and the weather changed. The dark python by his side let out a roar and dashed out, blocking Bai Tu, causing him to be unable to go down. As Bai Tu roared, the tribe leader from Black Mountain tribe broke out in cold sweat and trembled as he snapped out of his stupor. Terror overcame his heart. He knew that he had to make amends, or else he would not be able to bear the elder's fury. He no longer cared about Nan Song, but immediately turned around and trained his eyes on Su Ming lying not too far away. He quickly charged towards him. He had to kill Su Ming to redeem himself before Bai Tu and protect his own life. The other two people by his side had the same reaction and rushed towards Su Ming. Su Ming was still smiling. He looked at the three people closing in on him and knew that he had succeeded. Now, the only thing left to do was to trigger his blood veins to explode and gain a few more moments for Nan Song. Yet at that moment, Nan Song suddenly opened his eyes. His body trembled and a crack appeared at the center of his brows. A green light in the shape of a person charged out of it. Once it did so, Nan Song's face immediately paled as if he had lost his life. The light was blurry. The moment it appeared, it charged forward and appeared before Su Ming in the blink of an eye and swung its arm towards the 3 men from Black Mountain tribe. A thunderous roar instantly resounded, and the tribe leader coughed out blood as he tumbled backwards. As for the other people, their bodies crumbled and they died an instant death. The moment the tribe leader gained his footing, the other dozens of berserkers from Black Mountain tribe arrived. They were led by 2 men in black robes with dull eyes. "You're finally here." Nan Song's voice appeared from the beam of light. It floated before Su Ming, and as it spoke, it slammed both of its hands on the ground. The moment it did so, the ground tumbled like waves in the sea. Booming sounds echoed in the air, and 2 large hands made of dirt shot out of the ground before they clasped together with all their enemies, including the tribe leader from Black Mountain tribe, trapped within. Pained, muffled cries came from within. The light turned around and raised its right hand as it looked at Su Ming before it turned into glimmers of green light that fused into his body, causing Su Ming's originally fuzzy mind to immediately become clear. A warm feeling also appeared amidst the incredible pain in his body, a sign that he was rapidly recovering. The light quickly dimmed and floated back towards Nan Song before it crawled back into his body through the crack. Once the crack healed, Nan Song opened his eyes. There was fatigue in his gaze, and his face was deathly pale. These people are not important. The battle between the elders is the key towards the survival of the tribe. Bai Tu has yet to cast the fallen berserker art. It's incredibly strong. We must hurry, he's about to cast it. Nan Song stood up and let out a low shout, then brought Lei Chen and the others to retreat quickly. Su Ming had already recovered by a large margin by then. He knew that he was saved by Nan Song, but before he could thank him, he felt a presence of death falling from the sky. The snow on the ground immediately turned black, and all the plants within the forest around them withered away. Su Ming's expression changed. He instantly increased his speed and kept up with Nan Song and the others, supporting Lei Chen and Bei Ling as they ran together towards the rest of their tribe. The patch of forest behind them instantly withered away. Black whiffs of air crawled out of those trees and sped up to the sky. The black snow on the ground continued spreading in their direction at a rapid speed as if chasing after them. Time passed by quickly. Very soon, when the black snow behind Su Ming and the others no longer spread out, a powerful crack of thunder came from the sky, and the sky looked as if it trembled as abruptly a presence of death spread towards both heaven and earth. Su Ming was worried about the elder, but he could not turn back. He quickly ran forward with Nan Song as he supported Lei Chen and the others. When they finally caught up with their tribe that was hurrying forward and saw that none of them were injured, that they were just as they were when they left, all of them let out a sigh of relief. When the tribe saw Su Ming and the rest returning, they felt agitation boiling within them as sadness appeared on their faces. They grieved, because 9 berserkers had left them, but only 5 came back. The head of the guards lost both his legs and was unconscious. Bei Ling was heavily injured, and blood continued trickling down the corners of his lips. Lei Chen had lost his sight in his right eye and looked completely exhausted. Nan Song may have seemed as usual, but the deathly pale look on his face showed that he was near death's door. Su Ming was covered in blood. His chest was bloody and torn. If it were not for Nan Song curing him, he would have died. Once they returned, some common doctors from the tribe immediately took the unconscious head of the guards into the crowd and began treating him. Once Bei Ling escorted his father back to the tribe, he fell into Chen Xin's embrace, unable to stay conscious any longer. Someone is helping Black Mountain tribe. We definitely have pursuers left. I sacrificed some of my life, but I could not kill all of them. I managed to trap them and buy us some time, though. We must hurry. Nan Song panted harshly and looked at the tribe leader, who was standing in front of the tribe. The tribe leader did not ask anything. There was only a resolute look on his face as he led the tribe at the fastest speed they could muster. Yet, before they managed to cover a larger distance, a roar that shook the skies resounded suddenly. A large amount of ripples appeared in the sky, and a large dark python fell from the sky. There were a lot of injuries on its body, and it crashed not too far from the tribe. It struggled, as if wanting to lift its head once again, and stirred up a large amount of snow from the ground. An old and wizened figure fell from the sky. Su Ming could see that person clearly. It was the elder. The elder coughed out blood as his body plummeted towards the ground. Behind him was a large red wings of the moon that ferociously chased after him. Behind that wings of the moon was Bai Tu. His face was pale, and blood colored the corners of his mouth. His face was twisted with fury and murderous intent as he closed in on the elder. No one could save him now. His death was imminent. Chapters 91 through 95 leave us at the edge of a major shift. The power of the bell has revealed the hidden depths of the cultivators in Han Mountain, and Su Ming's own path is becoming clearer. But as he draws closer to the mountain's secrets, he draws closer to the ancient forces that have been watching from the shadows. Thank you for listening to Pursuit of the Truth on Panda Audiobooks. Do you think Su Ming will be the one to finally ring the bell 9 times? Let us know in the comments. Join us next time for chapters 96 to 100, where the true battle for Han Mountain begins. Like, subscribe, and keep pursuing the truth.